Welcome back, Midlifers. It's me, Prashana here. It's another day in sunny Singapore. As you can see, we have clouds all and it's just raining non-stop. We have a light meter here lent to us by one of our friends. So let's go test it out and I'll tell you why this is important. It's designed by Chi. I'm not really sure who Chi is. Just see how easily it goes in without any resistance. What a wonderfully made camera. What I'm gonna do is a quintessential film shot. We're gonna take a picture of this. Truly high art, okay? This is Singapore's best kept secret. So every sign has to be taken film photo of because that's just the analog way. Okay, so I know a lot of you have been commenting on our Rollei 35 AF video. Many of you have mentioned the questionable build quality and of course its high price. I was expecting it to be terrible. I was expecting it to actually feel like a lomography reloadable camera. It's not as great as I was hoping. This is not to shit on Rollei, the Rollei camera. I actually do enjoy using it. So we've been thinking how we could actually take an existing Rollei 35 and make it as user-friendly as that camera. So recently one of our friends, they sent us a new light meter. It actually has a rangefinder built in as well. So you should make zone focusing with one of these vintage cameras a lot easier. So let's do a quick unboxing, see what it has, and see whether that really translates to better shots with your original Rollei 35 camera. Okay, so this is the light meter. It's called the LD meter. It's designed by Chi. I'm not really sure who Chi is. So as soon as you unbox it, you get this little leaflet. It contains the instructions on how to use the light meter itself. It also gives you a warning. It actually mentions that you should be a bit careful when using the light meter because the rangefinder actually produces a dot that may appear in some of your images. And then this is the light meter itself. So let's take it out from its packaging. So actually we've opened this before, as you can pretty much tell. This is the light meter itself. Alright, so this light meter has a few features that I'm just going to go through a little bit. When you look at the front of the light meter itself, you'll notice there are a few, I guess, glass elements. This one actually measures the light and these two are used for the rangefinder. It has actually this magnetic component at the back where you can insert certain accessories. We don't have any of the accessories, so I can't show you. At the back, you have this button which has two modes to actuate it. You have a half press and a full press. Then, of course, on this side, you have a USB-C port to charge it, and you can actually permanently switch off the laser if you want to do so. At the top, you of course have your OLED screen with this dial to adjust your settings. It has two modes, namely actually aperture priority and shutter priority. The way to use the camera actually involves you pressing these buttons. I'm not going to go through that in detail. If you actually end up buying it, just read the manual. It should be more than sufficient for you to know. So I think you guys have seen the difficulties I had rolling the Rollei 35 AF. I'm going to show you how easy it is to load one of the original Rollei vintage cameras. So I'm just going to unflip the back. You saw how easily the back came out. I didn't even have to struggle. You know, slot it in, slot it through, close the back. Okay, fantastic. And just see how easily it goes in without any resistance. What a wonderfully made camera. So let's mount the light meter. The funny thing is we have to mount the light meter at the back here. Okay. And we are good to go. Let's go shoot some images. I'm going to try to shoot as much of it as I can at f2.8 so that we can really test out the accuracy. But of course, if the lighting situation doesn't allow me to, I may stop down the lens a little bit. Okay, so I think light meters these days are quite accurate. We actually tested this out using a few scenarios down here, comparing it to Ian's camera that he's recording on. So we found it to be quite accurate in that sense. I guess the only question is now whether the rangefinder is accurate. And we'll see it through the shots. This is a 30-degree light meter, so of course, depending on your lens, it might be accurate or not accurate. What I'm gonna do is a quintessential film shot. We're gonna take a picture of this, okay? Truly high art, okay? It's something only film photographers will know actually. So I'm actually now using the rangefinder to get the accurate reading. So I'm getting 0.9 meters. I'm not sure how it converts to our American viewers, but I guess it's like 3 cheeseburgers, you know? So I'm gonna now actually switch the scale focus so it is 3 cheeseburgers. So one thing I've noticed is that you actually have to look out for the red dot. Sometimes it's a little bit hard to see whether you're pointing at the correct object, because the red dot is so small and it blinks so short a period. The other thing is at short distances, that's when distance actually matters. You don't really have the depth of field to compensate for any minute errors. I do wonder whether the focus is from here or is from here where it's closer to the film plane. But I think maybe it shouldn't matter so much. It's a bit troublesome also every time I have to keep flipping the camera. And I guess the problem is I have to actually use the viewfinder to see whether the distance from my eye to the object is the same distance. Because I like to use it from this distance, but I noticed like it might be 0.8 of a meter here, but when I move to my eye, it's 0.9. So just gotta factor that in. 10 cm probably would matter at short distances, but at long distances, it doesn't really. Okay, so I'm gonna shoot the golden arches. I'm gonna actually use the camera at f2.8. What I'm doing now is I'm looking for the red dot of the rangefinder just to make sure it's on my subject. So the distance we're at is about 4.5 meters. I guess we can be, this should be 4.5 meters. Okay, let's take a shot. Let's do one at f2.8 as well. Okay, let's go. So as much as the rangefinder is a handy addition to make scale focusing or zone focusing a bit easier, sometimes when you have a subject that is textured as much as this or doesn't really have any proper flat surface, you can't see the red dot, you don't even know whether you're focusing, so you really have to depend on your guesswork. You gotta estimate correctly. So I think that's about 4 meters away. So I'm gonna try the same shot again, but you can still use the light meter to confirm your exposure. So I think that should be all right. Let's take a shot. None of these images are going to be noteworthy, so please don't complain about it, okay? I'm trying my best. It's raining out here. I'm trying to find as interesting things as I can. Okay, Ian, let's go inside. Okay, you can try this. Oh, maybe you sit down. Okay, so this is a class 2 laser. Don't point it into anyone's eyes. So when taking portraits, just be a bit careful. I'm gonna try to take a photo of Ian. To take a photo of him, I'm gonna just focus on his shoulder, so it's roughly there. So we are at 1 meter. I'm just gonna confirm the exposure again. Okay, 1/15. So let's switch to that. Okay, Ian, smile. Okay, let's take one just for backup. Okay, let's continue shooting. Let's go upstairs. They have glass panes outdoors. We see whether we can shoot through the window and whether that will help us estimate distances accurately still, or whether the laser will backfire. So this light meter switches off automatically after 1 minute of inactivity. But the thing is, when you want to capture an object and you press it, there's a bit of a lag time. So sometimes you might actually miss the moment. So just factor that in. If you're in a strategic spot, just keep it activated so that it doesn't go into sleep mode. All right, so if you're going to try to shoot through glass, the rangefinder will actually judge the distance based on where the glass is. So you're going to have an error. It's going to focus at where the glass is. So you're not going to get your subject. So you still have to do a bit of guesswork if that happens. Another interesting thing we noticed is that when we were measuring it at like too close, you might get an error reading. So that's one thing. Sometimes it might even give you a null reading sometimes. The other thing is we noticed that this is about 10 cm. So we suspect it actually reads from here to probably the back here. So actually, even for long distances, it seems to be working pretty well. I'm going to actually shoot across the entire mall. I don't know whether you can see the red dot. Okay, it's just above the escalator there. So I'm getting a reading of about 34 here. Then when I move it down to the escalator itself, I'm getting a reading of about 30. So it is quite accurate even at long distances. So I don't think you have to worry about its accuracy per se, just that whether it's usable in the conditions you want to use it. So let's continue, take a few more images, see how it fares. So I feel like to use it effectively, what you should do is you should set your shutter values first. So I'm getting f2.8 at 1/60. And then you should just move the camera itself forward and backward until you hit the minimum focus. So now I'm at 0.9. So I'm going to move here and just take an image. Okay, we're gonna do that a few times. See whether we get a nicer composition. So I think that would be the most effective way to use this rangefinder. You should set your actual value of your distance that you suspect it might be, and then just use the rangefinder to sort of like titrate the actual distance accurately. Then you kind of know where your camera has to be, then you just move your head to it and take the image. This is Singapore's best kept secret. It's the most bestest Italian restaurant we have. So every sign has to be taken, film photo of, because that's just the analog way. So this camera, or rather this light meter, comes with a rechargeable battery inside. It's handy, but it's non-replaceable. So I think long-term wise, you might need to replace this light meter. I think that's one thing the manufacturers can improve on, maybe making these light meters a bit have user replaceable batteries. That way, just like the cameras themselves, you can make them last many, many years to come. But perhaps in the second version, Qi, if you're designing it again, maybe you want to consider that. So now actually I'm not in single press mode. You'll notice that the laser is always shooting out a continuous beam. So when it does this, you just gotta be careful and remember to switch the laser off before actually taking your image. If not, what you'll notice is there's a red dot in some of your images and you might be wondering where it's coming from. Had quite a fun time using this rangefinder, range meter, whatever you wanna call it, light meter. It is actually very accurate. The light meter seems to be on point. I have really no qualms about it. It seems to corroborate with our digital camera here. The rangefinder appears very accurate as well. I think Ian will show the pictures throughout and we'll know with certainty soon enough. At longer distances, of course, this rangefinder isn't as important because depth of field becomes wider, it becomes deeper, so it can offset some human error along the way. The only issues I have is if this had a viewfinder built in, that'd be nice. I think the magnetic component that you can attach here is an actual viewfinder, so that would actually be quite handy. I don't like the lag time there is to switch it on. Sometimes you end up missing your moment. You also spend quite a bit of time actually like pressing the button and looking for the red dot, so that slows you down. But of course, if you have a vintage camera whose rangefinder isn't very accurate or the ground glass isn't very clear, this can be an exceptional meter to help you actually range your object or subject a little bit better. The fact that it's USB-C charged, it's quite nice, but I wished for user replaceable batteries. I don't really like the tactile feel of this dial. I wouldn't say it's terrible, but I think it can be improved. If you use the Astro Hori, it feels very sleek, very nice. The menu system is quite easy to use, double pressing switches modes. There are some other button sequences that you need to learn when switching the ISO, the metric system and all that. This camera does slow you down, especially when you use a Rollei 35 like this. So you have to factor that in when you're gonna go out and shoot. Street photography becomes a little bit more difficult. But the value of this light meter that I see is that it will teach you and it will guide you on guessing distances a bit more accurately. So what you should do is, I should guess the distance between myself and Ian right now. Then I should use the rangefinder meter to guess. So he's 1.1 meter. I guessed he was about a meter away. So that shows the error. I should always, I guess in my case, overestimate a little bit. But as you use it more and more, I guess your ranging will become accurate and soon you won't even need the light meter or rangefinder actually. For this camera, as in this camera has no issues. It's a Rollei 35. It's been CL8. It's fantastic camera. So build quality, all that doesn't matter. If you enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe. Your likes, your subscriptions, your comments really means a lot to us. I'm going to return this light meter back to its owner and let's go finish up this roll.